broadcast. All right, I think we are good. So we are here today with Mr. Christopher Hawkins.
Hello.
Actually, we're give me 1 second. I've got to switch the overlay. Um, I had been using the thumbnail as the overlay, and then oop, I hear some audio. Was that your phone, Chris?
That was me. Yes.
um, Welcome back.
I was monitoring the YouTube.
We interviewed you back in 2023, which is 3 years ago now.
Oh my God, was it really that long ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We interviewed you in
time flies, huh?
September, and then the episode released in December.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So that would have been right around the time that Downpour was coming out.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't
And-
realize it was quite that long. It
Yeah.
feels like it was kind of just yesterday, but yeah.
And I
Yeah,
saw
3
it
years.
looks like you've published something new since then.
Yeah, about a year ago, I published a kind of sci-fi horror novel called "I Contain Multitudes," and it's about this woman who is sort of unstuck in reality. She wakes up every day, and the world has sort of changed around her and become something different. And everyone that she had met has forgotten who she is. So she's kind of resigned to this sort of weird, like liminal existence until she meets someone who is able to remember her from one reality to the next.
Nice.
And that sets her on a path where she's trying to figure out why these changes are happening and if she can stop them before reality just unravels completely.
Interesting. So is it like a Groundhog Day scenario, or it sounds more like every day the world continues, but she is forgotten by everyone every day?
Yeah, so every day she wakes up and the world is different. So, she'll wake up one day and, it'll be sort of like like a sci-fi kind of, like almost cyberpunky kind of world. And then she'll wake up the next day and it'll be like a weird sort of Victorian world.
Okay, so it's more so like she's being shunted into a different reality every day when she wakes up.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But, as the book sort of unfolds, you start to understand why these things are happening to her, and you get the sense that, without giving too much away, that like maybe she is the central figure in all of this. That things are not happening around her, but they're happening maybe because of her, and that's sort of the unraveling that mystery, and then also trying to understand, because she doesn't have any memory of her own life before any of this began happening. So she's trying to unravel those mysteries and then also sort of figure out who she is during the process.
Interesting. I'm also amused by the thought that from the the author point of view, it potentially also helps reduce the amount of research that you have to do for each setting.
You would think that it reduces, but it actually just makes it worse.
Because now you're
this is like
researching 20 different things.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a certain amount of leeway because you got you're not necessarily beholden to any historical time or any particular
anachronisms.
It's not the real world, so you don't have to be 100% accurate, but it still has to have that feeling of accuracy.
Right.
So I end up kind of going into a lot of weird research corners and tailoring things to my own personal tastes, and of course the journey that the character is on. I tried to pick worlds that sort of reflect her mental state at the time. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. It came together pretty nicely, I think.
When we talked to you, sort of the summary that we came to for what you get out of horror at that time, the summary that I wrote down was transgression, empowerment, and hope. I'm wondering how many of those things showed up in that work, maybe?
All of them, honestly. I mean, it's funny because coming off of Downpour, which is a very kind of gritty, very bleak story, I wanted to write something that was a little bit more uplifting, a little bit more hopeful. And this is a really, without giving away the ending, it has a very, very hopeful thread through the entire story. And I think it lands in a really good place where, it's satisfying as an ending, but it's also, it also leaves you feeling like characters are moving on to a better place and a better thing that a better existence than the one that you've been following through the whole course of the book. So
Cool.
yeah, so it was kind of nice to be able to write something that was a little more hopeful, a little happier.
Nice. Do you think those topics have shown up in any of the media that you have enjoyed since then? Yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a little obsessed with the show called Widow's Bay, and it, it's very much a horror show, but it's also very much a comedy, and it's
That's what I've heard.
it has a lot of those kind of empowering aspects. I mean, it really I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it really plays with a lot of tropes, but it does it in an interesting way, and has characters that are really grounded in reality. These horrible things and these very strange things are happening around them, but they're just really trying to get by. They're trying to, the mayor's trying to make the island a tourist destination. And he has to deal with like a weird haunted hotel and a curse.
So like horror Jurassic Park kind of?
No, it's much more like if you plunked Parks and Rec down in the middle of a Stephen King novel.
Okay.
I was gonna say something like that in Jaws.
Yeah, there is a little bit of Jaws in there as well. You can tell that there are times when they're kind of reaching in that direction, but it's just so well done. The writing is fantastic. But yeah, I mean, that has that same kind of hopeful note. Like, okay, well, we've got this curse on the island, but we can make things better. We can overcome things in our past. Without giving too much away. There are characters who have these kind of demons in their past that they're trying to work past, and it's good to see that kind of horror, the horror that doesn't leave you feeling kind of hollow when you're done with it, but maybe, kind of leaves you feeling like monsters can be beaten.
Cool. I know that's, how can I say this? People like both. They're different people who like different things, yeah.
Right. Yeah. But you contrast that with something like the recent movie by Lee Cronin, The Mummy. That is a very sort of dark, unsettling, a lot of body horror, and it just kind of leaves you feeling a little icky and a little hollow at the end of it. Which sometimes that's what you're going for, right? Sometimes you want to be grossed out, right? Which is why people like the Terrifier movies. But yeah,
anything by Sam Raimi.
What's that?
Or anything Sam Raimi, really.
Or anything Sam Raimi, yeah. But yeah, Sam Raimi kind of exists in this weird sort of space for me where everything is done with like a wink and a nod, and it feels very, okay, we're going to do a gory film, but it's also going to be the Three Stooges, and it's going to be this very
kind of it's like acceptable camp is the way I would describe it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what point I was trying to make there, but yeah, I mean, it's
different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's great.
That's where we got off on that tangent.
Yeah, and I think it's great that all these things exist because horror is not a monolith, right? It's all different stuff.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the person that we interviewed earlier today, filmmaker Jeremy Torrey, was talking about the exact same thing that you were just saying there. It's kind of funny also that he brought up the fact that his son enjoyed the Terrifier franchise, and he couldn't get into it because it's just not his thing.
Sure.
His jokes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm glad it exists, and it certainly scratches that 80s gore kind of itch. But yeah, I mean, I have trouble connecting with it. I tend to look for horror that has a little bit more of an emotional component to it, and Terrifier is just kind of like this, balls to the wall. Just here, I'm going to give you the coolest thing I can pause. It's like it's almost like how much can you stand, right? You say again?
I said the emotion in those films is just what the fuck. That is
exactly. Why? So yeah, I'm glad they're out there. But probably not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not a huge fan of body horror myself, but if you're right in the right frame of mind for the. I want to say horror comedy, but like you're saying, balls to the wall. It's very over the top. But then there are the other moments where Art does goofy things just for the fun of it.
Oh yeah, and he is a fun character.
Yeah.
But I always kind of come away from those movies wishing that there was a little more plot and a little more substance and a little more something that you could wrap your mind around. But but again, for what they are, they can be fun. It's just you know, uh, I tend to look for stuff that like leaves you with some kind of feeling, and that's not just revulsion, right?
Yeah. From what I've seen, I guess there is an overarching plot, but like you say, they're drawing it relatively thin and kind of stretching it over multiple movies.
They are apparently going to expand upon that, and well, I mean, they better in number 4 because it's going to be the final one. But they've alluded to certain things like the dagger and how I think I can't remember Lauren Lavera's character's name, Sienna. Her father may have something to do with the creation of art, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they haven't really delved a lot into it, and it's mostly just been slapstick. Holy shit! This woman just gave birth to a severed head.
Right. Right.
It is kind of
funny
interesting.
though. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's kind of interesting that it does seem to have an overarching plot line that, as you say, is apparently going to be wrapped up here in the 4th movie, which I find that interesting as compared to some of the other slashers like, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, where they try to have this one arc all encapsulated in the one movie. It's how can I describe this? When you do it all in the one movie, obviously it's hit or miss for that one movie, and then you could maybe move on with a clean slate on the next one. But the other way of handling it, which is the way they're handling it, it's drawing it out very thin plot for each movie, and then I don't want to use the word filler because that's not exactly the right word either, but fan service.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Friday the 13th as an example there. Wasn't it Friday the 13th? It was originally supposed to be a one-off.
I think a lot of them were meant to just kind of be one-offs.
Right, yeah.
It was a few of them.
They became very successful, and then they, obviously had to make more.
Yeah. It was either Friday the 13th or some other famous slasher franchise was originally just supposed to be a one and done. And I think what you're talking about there, Steve, is like in classics like the Friday the 13th or Nightmare, they would be their own self-enclosed story. It'd have a beginning and an end. Whereas with Terrifier,
that was back before the days of trilogies.
Exactly. We didn't know if we were going to get another one. You didn't know if you were going to be 3 or 12 if you're Hellraiser. Or
studios were not keen to give us that kind of financing.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Financing is a thing.
Any media you guys are looking forward to coming out?
Yeah, I think the Pooniverse has a new edition coming down the pike. They have been getting increasingly better each time. It started off with a couple of guys in what looked like bad Winnie the Pooh rubber masks, and it was slasher schlock, but it was good slasher schlock. But they have been getting increasingly better each time. Like I think the last one that came out was Bambi the Reckoning, and then before that the Peter Pan Neverland one. And they've increased a lot in the production value, the set design, the cinematography,
rolling the profits into
special
the next
effects. Pretty much, yeah. And Pinocchio looks really good. They've even got Robert Englund voicing Jiminy Cricket.
Wait, is that the one with Guillermo del Toro? Or was that Frankenstein?
He did like a stop motion Pinocchio for Netflix.
Oh yeah, that was he did a Pinocchio of his own. Yeah, that was.
What movie did he recently do? Was it Frankenstein?
He did Frankenstein. Yeah,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a very I don't think there's ever been. I mean, the closest that we've gotten to like a true adaptation of the book is the Kenneth Branagh version that came out I think it was in the 90s, and that one had a lot of flaws, but this one it just kind of borrows from everything. It borrows a little bit from from the original movie. It borrows a little bit from Bride of Frankenstein, a little bit from the novel, and it all kind of puts all these things into a blender, and it just becomes this just its own thing, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Wonder why I got my brain mixed him up with the Pinocchio thing. Maybe because some of the visuals remind me of some of Del Toro's visuals.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Still have
with the whole Pooniverse thing, I've only seen Blood and Honey, and I was actually a little bit surprised at how I was expecting nothing, but it actually has a point of view. It actually has stuff to say about abandonment and about
it does.
Christopher Robin isn't quite the father of these characters, but it does have a lot to say about having this father guardian type figure and what responsibility.
It's a dark Toy Story.
Yeah, it is, and I was very surprised to see that it had a little bit of meat on the bone there. So yeah. I was pleasantly surprised at that movie.
Also,
but as far as things that are coming up, I mean, I'm a huge Godzilla fan, so the Zero is coming out, and I'm in the front row. Well, maybe not the front row.
You'll see it in IMAX.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'll be there. It's it's something like even my kids are excited about, and they're nowhere near as weird Godzilla fans as I am.
I know Chris is looking forward to Whale Fall as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I might have to see that one in IMAX front row.
You might not want to.
Such a good book. I'm such a fan of everything that Krauss does. He's just a great writer, and recently won the Pulitzer Prize, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah, right.
Angel Down is a great book. It's a great book. So.
I gotta read Whale Down before watching it in theaters. I don't know how long I have, but I heard it's not a very long read. It's mostly just
it goes pretty quick. Yeah.
Experience inside the stomach, right?
It has a lot of stuff that is flashback and dealing with his relationship with his father, and it's a very it's what seems like a very simple premise, but it's told in a very compelling, very very complex way, and it has a lot to say about those relationships and how those relationships sort of make you the person that you are and enable you to survive in these horrible circumstances. It's a good, it's a very thoughtful book. But it goes very quickly when you read it. It has sort of its own built-in kind of ticking clock as part of the narrative, and it's just a really satisfying read.
A couple weeks ago, we interviewed a fellow podcaster by the name of Trace Thurman, who his interview is going to be coming out next, and he shared that when he was a kid, he had a nightmare about. I think her name was Marge from one of the Jaws movies, where she gets eaten by a shark, and in his dream, he gets eaten by a shark, and Marge is in there with him. I was like, so have you heard about Whale Fall?
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But at least it wasn't large Marge in the stomach waiting for him.
Right.
That would have been terrifying.
Yeah, that would have been terrifying.
Claw your way back out. Oh man. Well, I know Chris has been streaming some stuff on our server recently. We've been watching Ash vs. Evil Dead, and what was the other one? Backrooms, the original Backrooms, the YouTube videos.
Yeah, I wanted to change pace from Ash vs. Evil Dead for other one night or continuing on. But we were just tossing around things to watch like Obsession or They Will Kill You, and I said Backrooms, and then kind of started complaining about Backrooms because I critique things a lot. And Steve suggested, well, why don't we, if you like the original videos better than the movie, why don't we watch those? And you know what? I'm glad I did, because I take back some of the critiques I've made of the film. I forgot that one of my critiques was that it was too... Well,
there was too much stuff.
Have you seen the movie? Yeah, I said there was too much stuff. But Christopher, have you seen the film, The Backrooms?
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I said there was too much stuff. There was too many objects in the back room, and I didn't like the facades of the houses that they had when she escaped.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And basically went onto a suburban block.
Right.
Because I just in my head, my memory of the Backrooms was the very simple liminal space, yellow drab wallpaper rooms, and the impossible architecture and all that, which there was a good amount of. But as you got farther on in the web series, they did actually have things like fake facades and fake buildings. And this movie was kind of a culmination of all the different facets of the Backrooms video series. I'm still not a big fan of the character development. I think yeah, you want character development, a good story, and a good film. But I think that was part of the allure of the Backrooms was the simplicity of the nightmare of this impossible architecture, other dimension, and they added on some, childhood and life traumas with these people, which is good. You want character background and again character development, but I felt like that was kind of a Hollywoodizing of the obscure story that originally was the Backrooms.
So would you have preferred like something that was a little bit more obscure, like a narrative that was maybe not quite as character focused, or what?
Yeah, a little bit more open-ended, less character focused. Like your protagonist is just a victim who falls into this world, and you're seeing it from their eyes, and just less character development.
So
oddly enough,
the original Backrooms video or playlist that he found, it's 3 hours long. We've only watched the first 2 hours of it so far, and I haven't seen the movie, but from what he's described it and what I have seen of the original videos, what I can say about the original videos is that the characterization was very shallow in that, yes, you did get names and you did get some background, particularly of one character that I'm thinking of, but you didn't get, like Chris is talking about, early childhood trauma and that kind of thing. It didn't get that kind of deep in the original videos, at least not that I've seen so far. I don't know what's going to come in the next hour.
Yeah, see, I've only ever seen clips of the original video, so when I went into the movie, I was going in kind of cold, but not. I mean, everyone sort of, has an understanding of what the Backrooms are if you're a citizen of the internet, but I hadn't really like sat down to watch those videos, and so for me, it worked as a story. It's a little unbelievable that someone in their 40s, a man in his 40s is going to be going to therapy in the 1990s, but you can kind of forgive that a little bit, but
it's set in the 90s.
Kind
of. I thought it was
that was modern times. No, then therapy was a lot more bit more of a stigma back then.
Yeah, absolutely,
especially for a man in his 40s, like you said.
Right. So but yeah, historical improbabilities aside, I thought it was a pretty, well thought out movie, and it certainly had a lot of, as they're exploring the Backrooms, you get to play with scale a lot, and you get to play with, depth, and going into these sort of impossible areas, which is really I think what most people would expect out of a Backrooms movie. So it worked pretty well for me.
I'm looking forward to seeing the last hour of the original stuff, and then I'll check out the movie, and then I will critique Chris's critiquing.
Yes. One more thing, since we're on the topic of the Backrooms, I do want to bring up that not a lot of people are talking about. Catherine Isabel was in that movie for like 7 seconds, as in Ginger Snaps and American Mary. Catherine Isabel.
Where was she?
She played some woman I think called Nora or something. It was when I don't remember her name, but the therapist character was I think doing an open house or something, and she was talking to people. And for like half of the 7 seconds that she's on screen, she's facing away from the camera, so you just see the back of her face, and then she turns around and she laughs and makes a goofy face. She doesn't even have any like audible dialogue. It's while something else is being played for the audio, and it's kind of a montage of the woman who's the therapist talking to people in her job. And so she's in there for just like, I remember seeing the cast when the movie was being advertised that it was coming out. I saw her and I'm like, oh, that should be interesting. And then I watched the film afterwards. I'm like, who the fuck was Catherine Isabel? Was she in this movie? So I went back and scoured the movie like scene by scene. Like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize her. That's
the Easter egg.
Pretty wild.
I didn't even notice her at first.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next time I watch it, I'll have to keep an eye out.
One thing that I would love to have seen in both the original and the movie, but which I've heard is not in there. I've shared this on some of the other conversations we've had, that in my 20s, I did a short job as a third shift security guard for an it was Florida International Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida, which was housed in a 3 or 5 story building that was an old department store. And the museum was on the first floor, and then I think it was either 2 or 3 stories above that were the abandoned department store. And then the basement floor, there was a basement that was basically an unfinished basement. It had a couple pillars, holding the ceiling up, but everything else was just dirt floor and brick walls. And because it was third shift, all the lights were off. And me and one other coworker, we would each take turns every hour. One of us would have to go take a perimeter check and check all the doors and all that kind of stuff. And first part of this is, imagine going through the Titanic exhibit with all the stuff that they had dredged up from the exhibit, and it's 3:00 in the morning and you're there with your flashlight. It's like
Creepy at all.
very
Not
creepy.
at all.
And then you get up to the other floors above that, and it was kind of like the back rooms, but imagine, if you've ever seen urban exploration videos or pictures where there's 30 years of dust and candy bar wrappers and, crap like that. I would have loved to have seen some part of the back rooms that, I don't want to say feels lived in, because it's not lived in so much as just has existed for a longer time, if that makes sense. Whereas the thing about the back rooms is it's like it's there, but no time has passed.
Right. And that's kind of one of the things I liked about it. What made it such a liminal space is it seemed timeless, and that it was never really damaged or dirty. But again, rewatching it last night or Friday night,
I don't mean to say that I wanted all of it to be like that. I just mean it would have been cool if they could have gone into one area and been like, oh, this part's been here for a while.
Right. Yeah, with a little more lived in kind of look to it.
The basement was really creepy too. The basement was dirt floor, old brick walls, no lighting. It was just very I don't want to say dungeon-esque, but like had the vibe of like the 1800s. Like you've seen like the old,
like a root cellar,
like a little Victorian kind of vibe to it.
I was thinking like Bourbon Street, like the brick buildings.
Oh, I see.
Like those kind of old buildings. So it made me wonder what the building was like when they originally built it, and maybe all the department store stuff was all a facade over a much older building.
Yeah, isn't St. Petersburg like kind of famously haunted? Like I've heard all kinds of.
There are tours.
Yeah.
Especially Gulfport, which is one of the sub neighborhoods of St. Pete.
Yeah, because there's like a big like pirate history, if I'm remembering right.
That too, yeah. Gasparilla.
Yeah.
There are.
He likes 3 things in the Bay Area: pirates, cigars, and strip clubs.
I was thinking you were going to say rum, but
well, the rum goes with the pirates,
right?
There's strip clubs that are haunted by pirate ghosts, so it all comes together.
There's a story,
right? So much right there. Probably not me, but someone.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I remember, God, it was going back. So I moved to Florida with my grandmother in '85, and the bus stop for my school, I was going to middle school then, I had to like walk down the street and down a couple blocks to US 19, and there was a strip club there that was in a building that was the shape of a boat.
Okay.
I can't remember what the hell it was called, but like this is going back. This is like the '80s, and eventually it got knocked down, and they built a Burger King there.
Where was this?
Not necessarily an improvement, is what you're saying.
Not for teenage me, no.
Right.
It was on US.
Teenage you, so this wasn't in Tampa.
No. It was on US 19, close to Park Boulevard, on the other side of the street from where the Walmart is now.
Okay, so not Seven Seas. That was a strip club in Tampa.
No.
Which we jokingly called Seven Diseases, because it was not the best strip club.
I can't remember the name of it. I want to say Ships Ahoy, but I have no freaking clue. I'd have to go look it up.
Some cheesy strip club.
But here's the thing. I mean, I'm going there, like going to this bus stop at 7:00 in the morning, There's no one there. The place is empty. It's all boarded up. But
No one was at the nautical themed strip club at 7 in the morning. No.
on
Not exactly weekend.
a Monday morning, Tuesday morning.
On a Monday morning.
Yeah. But being a kid, you're like, what goes on in there?
Not nautical themed things.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Christopher, do you have anything that you're currently working on? Anything coming out?
Yeah. It's still in the editing process, so I'm a little hesitant to say too much about it. But it's a series of novellas that are all kind of linked together, and it's all about a middle-aged woman and a vampire in this old hotel that's been sort of converted into a flop house that are going around solving these very low-stakes mysteries. So it's kind of, I don't know if you've ever read like the Number One Ladies Detective Agency, but it's sort of like if you had that and it was sort of mishmashed with like Edward Gorey and Gormenghast, into this like sort of redheaded stepchild of all those things. So it's it's still in development, but I'm pretty pleased with it. It's a lot funnier, I think, than anything that I've written in the past. It's really kind of focusing on the relationships between all these various sort of interesting and seedy characters, and everyone's got a past that they're dealing with. Everyone's got some kind of like weird association with the building, and as you meet these like side characters, it kind of pulls you into this mystery that's like weirder and weirder and weirder, and so it's I'm pretty proud of it. It's coming out, I mean, hopefully soon. I think I'm going to go I've been self-publishing my past few books. I think I'm going to stick my toe back in the traditional publishing arena and see if I can find a publisher to kind of back it. But so it's I know I'm rambling a little bit. I haven't quite like locked down the pitch for it, but it's it's still in progress, but it's coming together nicely.
Cool. Your description, the way it started off, do you remember, I don't know if you read these when you were a kid, but I remember reading Encyclopedia Brown.
Yeah, I read those, and I read like Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew and all of those. Yeah, so it's a little special guest star there. Yeah. But it does. I hadn't really considered the Encyclopedia Brown angle, but there might be a little bit of that in its DNA. But I've also been watching a lot of Dark Shadows. I don't know if you guys are Dark Shadows fans at all. But,
I've seen parts of it.
Yeah, for people who might be listening, it's this the soap opera from like the 1960s and late 60s, early 70s that was kind of this very influential. It sort of began the whole idea of the reluctant vampire. With Barnabas Collins, who's this character who he's a vampire, but he doesn't want to be a vampire, and he's very conflicted.
Is that why there was such a 60s theme to that Johnny Depp movie? I always wondered about that. Okay, so it was a show.
Yeah, it was a show. And then they actually made a couple movies in the early 70s that were based on the show. And then there was like a revival in the 90s. And now I just read that they're going to be resurrecting it as an animated series. But the original show was like 1,200 episodes. So I've been going through, and I've been on this mission to like watch all of them. And the vampire character Arsino in these stories is, it has a little bit of Barnabas Collins in his DNA, but he's really just this kind of like grumpy guy. He doesn't want to do vampire stuff. He just wants people to leave him alone. He wants to sit in his apartment that hasn't changed for 100 years. And basically he starts off the story just kind of waiting for death to take him, and it just never does.
Okay.
And then as the story begins, this woman moves into the flop house basically, and she's got a past of her own that she's trying to outrun, and she's kind of thrown in through circumstance, and then the two of them meet, and eventually sort of draws him out into the world and out into the rest of it to meet all of these side characters that have, in some cases, these really trivial problems that they're trying to solve.
You were going to say something, Chris? Chris Whitman, I mean.
What?
I said it sounded like you were going to say something a minute ago.
No, it probably sounded like that because I may have half said something because I've been having network problems this whole time. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry to hear.
I don't know if I've been lagging, but both of you occasionally freeze up, so I don't exactly get to hear.
I say no. From my side, you've been fine. So.
Yeah, probably because your connection's fine. No, that does sound like an interesting read. I like the reluctant vampire angle. Like, at first I was going to ask, well, if he no longer wants to do vampire things, just wants to sit alone in his house and be not bothered, you do ultimately have to drink blood to survive to be a vampire. But if he's just waiting for... Ooh, there's a question. Vampires are immortal, but can they die of starvation?
And that is a question that sort of is a thread in the book. Yeah, so again, without giving away too much, he does have a lot of struggle between, the life that he wants to lead and the life that he's sort of forced to lead. And because he's a very sort of grumpy, gruff kind of character, you see a lot of his struggle through the other characters in the story. And it's like I said, it's still coming together, but it's it has a lot of humor in it. It has a lot of plenty of like actual scares as well. So it feels kind of cozy, but at the same time, it also has a little bit of bite to it. I'm excited to share it. Yeah, no pun intended.
Cool. When I said that I got the idea of the Charlie Brown, Encyclopedia Brown, what I was thinking is it actually would be amusing to also have like a young adult version of this, where it's not just a vampire, but like what's the Monster Squad?
Oh, Monster Squad, yeah.
Well, I guess basically it would be a Monster Squad. What's it like? Detective stories.
Right.
So I guess that has been done. Never mind. Disregard.
Well, there are other monsters in the story. There are worse things in this building than the vampire. And it goes with it. It has a 100-year history to this place. It started off as a very opulent hotel, and then fell into disrepair and sort of became a brothel through the Great Depression, and eventually was sort of repurposed as this single room occupancy kind of flop house that a lot of the areas that were part of the original hotel have kind of been closed away. So there's lots of little mysteries to explore, a lot of places to uncover, and a lot of weird things kind of lurking in the dark.
That's a thing with several different horror stories and several just different types of maybe not horror but thriller. Not to get too far off on a tangent on horror genres, but no, hotels being like the central theme of the story, if not almost the main character of the story.
Yeah.
We got The Shining, a recent one with a beautiful hotel out of Indiana called So Cold the River, I think, or Still Cold the River.
Okay.
Interesting ghost story, but yeah, you got that one. In this conversation, I keep thinking of American Horror Story Hotel.
Sure.
And, 1408. That was really just one room in a haunted hotel. But hotels, I think, are just naturally intriguing that way.
Yeah, it's because they're kind of like the ultimate liminal space. If you think about it, they're, when you check into a hotel room, they go to great lengths to make you feel like you're the only person who has ever been in that hotel room, right? But it's a business, but it's also, that there's thousands of stories that have passed through that particular room. Any place you stay, there have been, hundreds, if not thousands of different people there. There've been all kinds of, there's anything that can happen in a hotel has probably happened in that room. But they don't want you to think about that. They want it to be this sort of pristine space that feels like your own, even if it's only for a short period of time. But if you think about it, it's, it's been that same experience over and over and over again, for as long as that building has existed.
Just don't think about it.
Right. Well, they try to make sure that you don't think about it, right? But every once in a while you'll get it's kind of an unsettling feeling to like check into a hotel. I remember once, I got the key to a hotel room, and I went up to my room, and it turned out that there were people still in it, and all their stuff was kind of scattered around, and I had to go back to the front desk and be like, room's not empty. But you know, it's very unsettling to kind of go into that space that's sort of been marked as yours and find out that, oh wait, it's not mine.
Right.
It's, you know, it was never mine. It was always just this transitory space, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I think that horror works really well in a hotel environment, because you just never know what happened before and you never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
They're
it's an
also-
underlying mystery.
They're
Right,
also
right.
generally good for storytelling because it's how can I say this? It's a reason or a place where people come together from other places. And so
Yeah.
if you're looking for a storytelling, I don't want to use the word mechanism, it's not really the right word, but like, you know how there's a genre of storytelling where it's a challenge to say, okay, how can I tell a story in one room? Or how can I tell stories that only involve two people? You know, there's I just don't know the right word for it, but a setting maybe is the right word, where because it's a hotel, that gives you the excuse to bring different characters to the same location and have
Yeah.
them meet each other and
Yeah.
bump into each other.
Yeah, there was actually
Characters included.
there was a great show on, yeah, I think it was on HBO. It's called like Room 104. And that was kind of the conceit of the show, is that it always takes place in the same room in this motel. But it's, you know, different time periods, different characters. Each one has their own story, and it's an anthology series, but it's all grounded in, you know, by the place that it all takes place in. And some of the stories get really, really out there. And there's one where they, you know, are kind of dealing with like the building of the motel. And it's just it's a fascinating show. I mean, you know, it's like all anthology series. Some of them are really good, some of them are really not so good. But you know, it's just such a really, like, you know, ripe premise for storytelling.
Ooh. Just give me a good idea for a story. It's probably a concept that's been done, but like maybe some kind of temporal point in some place, and you have multiple stories about what happens at that point. What kind, you know, it could be, I don't know, a cave in early civilization when it originally begins, and then maybe a hotel later on, or a house, like just what things would have happened in this one point in time through
Right.
generations.
Yeah, that's there was an anthology that I was fortunate enough to be a part of recently, called Tales from the Motel Sick. And the idea is that it's this impossible motel that has, you know, a theoretically infinite number of rooms, and here are the stories that are happening in that space. And I wrote this really kind of gross out story about a serial killer who kind of, you know, without giving too much away, he opens a drawer and finds a small replica of the room that he's in, complete with like a version of himself that's inside.
That's so cool.
And then, you know, hijinks ensue from there. But yeah, it's a great book. Matt Dinneman from Dungeon Crawler Carl. He is in the anthology. You know, a lot of great Chicago authors are in there. It's a really fun anthology if you're looking for that same experience where you're looking at, you know, this place and all the stories that can happen in this place.
Cool.
Okay. What's it called?
It's called Tales from the Motel Sick. Or I'm sorry, Stories from the Motel Sick, not Tales. But it's available on Amazon. Just type in Motel Sick and you'll find it.
Okay.
We'll leave the barf bag out for you.
Yes, exactly.
That's the do not disturb sign. It's a bark bag on the door.
Yes.
Right.
The other thing I was thinking of when you brought up Dark Shadows, we have a Discord server for both for the podcast, and it's just a general horror fan Discord server that people are welcome to join. But yeah, there was somebody in there who only recently discovered Dark Souls and decided that they were going to start watching, and I had forgotten, like, there was something in my head that got it mixed up with some other piece of media, and I forgot that they were talking about the TV show. And when they pointed out that it had you said it had over 1,200 shows. I think they said it was over 500 something. And I had forgotten that because it was basically like a soap opera, it was, I'm guessing it was a daily, not a weekly.
Yes.
So, 300, well, maybe not 300, because if they only did it during the days, then, well, it's probably still over 300. I don't know.
Maybe over there, yeah.
I forget exactly. Maybe I think it's like 480 work days in a year, something like that. Actually, that can't be right either then, because that would mean that it only ran for 2 years, and I knew it ran for longer than that.
Yeah, it's. I think it ran for around like 3 or 4 years. It ended in, I think, 71. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because like people always talk about like the bad acting in soap operas, right? But when you think about like that pace of storytelling and the fact that you're having to like memorize all of those lines, and you're, in the case of Dark Shadows, they shot it live basically. So if there was something, something fell over, or if somebody flubbed their line or whatever, it's like,
script.
Yeah, we're just going with it, right? We don't have time to stop. We don't have the budget to like reshoot. We're just gonna, we're gonna shoot it like a play, and then whatever happens.
Yeah,
and that creates a lot of like really kind of fun unintentional moments. But it's an interesting, if nothing else, it's an interesting historical document about like the way stories were kind of being told at the time, and it was groundbreaking because nobody had seen like a horror. It started out as like a more gothic kind of story, but nobody had really seen horror in that format before.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other horror soap operas or any other like dark or gothic soap operas I can think of. Like the only thing that comes to mind is how Addams Family was more of like a gothic version of family sitcom,
to Beaver.
like Van Dyke or something like that.
Yeah,
Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
but yeah, no horror soap operas come to mind that I can think of at all, other than Dark Shadows.
I know that like the mainstream ones like General Hospital and whatnot. If I remember correctly, there've been horror like plots that have happened.
Right? Yeah, like they have their Halloween episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, right, exactly. But nothing that like commits like front to back to do a horror story in that format.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of unique in that way.
Yep. Cool. Well, looks like we're down to about the last 10 minutes here. Any closing thoughts? Stuff we're looking forward to? Anything in the news you want to talk about?
Oh God, no! I want to talk about the news.
We come here to talk about fun horror, not
horror.
Yeah, exactly. That's
horror news. Horror news.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I've been seeing a little bit coming out of, out of San Diego Comic-Con, and
that is going on right now. Yeah,
I just saw that they're doing a new Ghost Rider movie, which
they are,
could go either way, but I'm hopeful. Ryan Gosling is going to be in it. He's going to be.
I love Ryan Gosling as an actor. He's not doing anything bad. It's just, it seems odd to me for him to be the Ghost Rider, but honestly, he's never really an avid reader, and I can't remember what Ghost Rider looked like in the comics, so I don't have a.
He's just a big skull, like.
Yeah, he doesn't. His face doesn't look like a skull at all. I don't like it.
Exactly. There are plenty of other skull-faced actors that they could have chosen, but
that's skull-face discrimination, is what that
is. Exactly. Yeah, it's all part of the woke mind virus, right?
Oh God.
But yeah, so I'm hopeful for that.
30-minute can of worms, and we have less than 10 minutes left. But that does not anti-woke or anything, but since it's related, I'm curious. Have you seen Odyssey?
I have not yet. We're kind of laying low, trying to like hit the end of like the IMAX run.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Just to make sure you get that best seat.
Yeah, and there's something like something definitely changed, because I used to be the kind of person who would like opening weekend, midnight showing. I would always be that guy if it was a movie that I was excited about, and I am excited about Odyssey. But after pandemic, it's like, I can wait. Like that just shifted my entire perspective. It's like, I don't want to. It's too peoply out there. I don't want to go.
Yeah,
Peoply out there.
COVID definitely did do. It definitely did change the peopling experience in real world.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get that back as a society, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
No, I don't know. But no, it's good. Do recommend. It was good.
On a sad note,
Excellent.
it occurred to me to that should probably, excuse me, say something. Mr. Kevin Clements recently passed. I don't know, Christopher, if you knew who this was, but he owned a store in Rutherford, New Jersey called Chiller Theater, and then also had a convention known as Chiller Theater. And he'd been
That's
doing
right. That's
that
how you
since
know
the
about
90s.
this, because I had not heard this character, but you knew him personally or from a local venue, right?
So actually, very strangely, I went to high school in the same town that his little shop was in, and even though so in this podcast, I'm not the horror fan. Chris is the horror fan. I'm the psychology buff, but he also sold comic books in his shop, and so I used to go into the shop to buy comics. And in my teens, I know that I spent multiple thousands of dollars in that shop. So like I was very well known. We had talked many times. And then, 30 years later, I'm sitting here doing a horror podcast with my friend Chris. And when we were initially coming up with people who we could invite onto the show, he popped into my mind, and I was like, oh, I should, reconnect with Kevin. Tried multiple times, didn't get through to him. Unfortunately, I suspected that his health might have had something to do with it, because 30 years ago his hair was already gray, and I was like, I can do math. So I suspected that something was going to be coming, and sure enough, finally I found out about that this week that he passed away recently. So sad.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, would have liked to have been able to talk to him.
Yeah.
Funny enough, after I think she must have been born after I moved to Florida, but it turned out that he's got an adult daughter, and she's apparently friends with the adult daughter of Frank Frazetta, which I didn't even know he had. It makes sense to know that he had kids, but I just never thought about it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And for those two to somehow meet like that, small world.
Yeah, I think Frazetta lived in New Jersey, or New York, so it would make sense for them to have known each other.
It sounds like a New Jersey name.
Italian, maybe.
Eh.
Other thing in the news recently, Chris and I have been at odds on is the new Carrie.
Yeah, I saw that it was coming, but I haven't watched the trailer yet to see if I'm going to be filled with rage or not.
Yeah,
As
I
Carrie
will say
was?
this. They're getting further in the right direction to the book, because I haven't read it, but it's my understanding that in the book she's actually rather unattractive and overweight, and the even Sissy Spacek's version of it are just too Hollywood and attractive. I mean, Chloe Moretz was not, and this is nothing to say like I'm glad they got an ugly actress for this show. No, it's not that. I'm saying like she looks more realistic, more grounded.
Yeah,
but the shower scene, she's like fully clothed when they're throwing tampons at her. Was that accurate to the book?
I don't remember seeing that.
Who takes a shower with their clothes on?
I haven't read that book in 30 years, so yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, adaptation is always kind of its own thing anyway. So I just hope I hope that it ends up in an interesting spot. Like that's, if I remember correctly, that's the same crew that did Fall of the House of Usher recently, and that takes a ton of liberties with Edgar Allan Poe stories, but it makes them into something that is not quite the original stories, but evocative of the original stories in a very in a way that kind of makes it their own. And I can always sort of appreciate that. Again, going back to Frankenstein, right? Like that is not a faithful adaptation to the book by any means, but you can tell there's a lot of love behind it of all of the different Frankenstein adaptations, and it kind of becomes this, this sort of like blender that you throw all of those adaptations into and come up with something completely new. So with any luck, hopefully Carrie will be the same thing.
The thing that I liked about it is, from the trailer that I've seen, is that, and I don't know if this is just because I'm getting older or she looks younger. I don't know that she's under 18, but if she's close enough as the other characters in the trailer were, that it does remind me a lot of what it was like to be in high school. And it seemed like they were very much keying into the the fears about bullying and things like that it just feels very, from what I've seen so far, it seems very authentic in terms of touching what, identifying with what's important to that demographic,
sure,
if you will, and
yeah, the anxiety of being a high school kid and bullies and social acceptance,
which is some of the topic of which is the topic of the other adaptations, but I've seen of all the other adaptations, it feels like those other adaptations were aimed at a more adult demographic of saying, remember what this was like in your youth, whereas it feels like this adaptation from the trailer that I just saw, it's almost like it's more aimed directly at that younger demographic of this is what you're experiencing right now. And I think that I feel like it connects stronger on that level. But I mean,
they have been getting progressively younger with Sissy Spacek to Chloe Moretz to this actress. Like, in the original, it did suffer the same flaw that a lot of movies in that era had, which was this person who's in their 30s is a high school student.
Right.
This seems a lot more accurate.
Yeah, well, that'd be an interesting take because I feel like a lot of Stephen King adaptations and certainly Stephen King stories are kind of grounded in nostalgia, for those younger days, right? So it'd be interesting to see it done in a more contemporary way to an audience of that character's peers. So should be worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, I know from experience that Google will kick us off for this exactly at 1 hour. So.
We got just less than 2 minutes. So
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Anybody out there watching this or catching up on this later, we do this every Sunday night at 7:30 and 7:30 to 8:30, and then at 9 o'clock, Chris hosts himself drawing his horror-themed webcomic pieces on our Discord server. So if you catch this, you're always welcome to join us on the Discord server after, and we will see everybody there.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thanks.
Cheers.
Have a good night.
Good night.